fishing buddies. If you've been fishing for a while, this next video might not be helpful for you. But if you were like me when you first started fishing, you just end up going to Walmart or going to a local bait store, and you pretty much say, look, how do I fish for this? How do I fish for that? What do I need for hooks? What do I need for weights? And a lot of times if you go to Bass Pro Shop and those places, they'll just set you up with like packages of, pre-rigged leaders, like either pompano rigs or something like that. So you grab all this stuff and you just tie a simple knot to tie it all on your fishing rod and you start using it. But as soon as you have your first or second break off, then you're stuck on the beach. You're like, oh, I just broke both of my lines or whatever. It might be helpful to know how to retie a hook on or rig up a new fishing rod to fish in different types of circumstances. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you probably 3 of my most used setups. Now there's more, and I use more, but these are the ones that I use maybe 75% of the time, and they work in different applications. And so whether you're at the beach or whether you're from a boat or whether you're, fishing off a bridge, all these things could help you out in some way. They're all simple. So the first one I talked about was the Snell. And the way I do the Snell is I take the hook and I take my leader and I put the leader through the hole. And I put it through the front of the hook, so like, where the point is, I put it through that side, and I bring it down the back part of the hook. Then I take the other end and I wrap it around the shaft of the hook 7 times, or 8. Doesn't really matter, then I'd like to do at least 7. Then I take the complete opposite end of the leader. In this case, I always use about a 6-foot leader to start, maybe 7. But I take the end and I put it through the exact same hole, the same way that I did the first time. Now, of course, when you use thicker leader on smaller hooks, you're not going to be able to fit it through the second time. So I pull all that through. And I pull it tight, and I'll cinch down on it and pull that whole knot thing tight. And then I just clip off this little extra end right there. I usually want to take a larger size rod, like a 6500 or 8500, with some beefier braid on it and some beefier leader. When I say beefier, I mean this right here is 50-pound leader. And then I put a decent sized hook on it. And what I did is I tied a Snell type of a knot to this one. And then what I do is I've got a swivel up here with an egg sinker. And I'd probably say this is probably a 4-ounce egg sinker. Now this type of setup is my live bait setup. My most common is, I believe, what they call a Palomar knot. And what I do there is I take the leader guy. Trying to do this while taping is very difficult, by the way. And then I turn the hook around and I pass the leader through the same hole so it forms a loop. So here, I've got the loop end, I've got the 2 other ends, and I'm going to make this kind of combined so I can take the loop and just make a little, almost like you're tying your shoes. I don't know if you can see that. So you get the loop end there, the other end's there. And just a nice simple crossover type knot. I'm going to pull that tight. Now from here, I'm just going to take the loop and push the hook through the loop and have it so the loop is in the up position. small end and the long end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my teeth on the short end, and I use my hands on the long end, and then I usually just hold this end of the hook here. And it's important to have the short end in the same line as the long end, and I'm just going to pull both of them while I'm pulling the hook away from me. Pull these two again. I'll usually put this in my mouth, and so I'm not going to be able to show you, but what happens is it tightens up the knot. So as you see, it tightens down on itself. And it's a very small knot, it's a clean knot, but by putting both ends looping, it makes it twice as strong. Now with this type of setup where I have the smaller hook with the Palomar, I don't have any weight on this right now, so I'll be using this one if I'm gonna like just free line shrimp. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll maybe about 14 inches up away from the hook, I'll put a split shot, just very little weight. So this is a smaller rod, maybe a 5,000 reel, and I'm going to use this. I'm trying to get stuff like spotted sea trout or a snook or some redfish. But if I'm trying to catch medium-sized fish off the bottom, such as grunts or a hogfish, things like that, I'm going to start with a 7-foot leader, and I'm going to tie one end to whatever size weight I think I'm going to need. Now, if you can have a clip down the bottom, that's even better, because sometimes when you're offshore you need to kind of beef up to like an 8-ounce weight or so, and then sometimes when it's not very moving water, you want to go as light as possible. I try to do just enough to get me on the bottom to keep me on the bottom. And so about 15 inches from there, and what I'll typically do is just put the weight on the bottom, like I put it, like if I'm sitting down, I just put the weight on the ground, and then I will loop the leader one time around my hand, so I have just a circle. And now what I'm going to do with the circles, I want that again a little bit more than just around my hand. I'm going to take the two ends and just kind of flip them over each other 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When I get there, I'm going to take those two at the top, reach down in between them, and grab the bottom one, and bring the bottom up through the top. By pulling all ends, gives me a loop. Now with this loop, I'm going to feed this loop through one hook. So in order to get one of these loops through the fishhook eye, I'm going to take a separate piece of leader, going to run it through the top of that loop, and I'm going to put both ends, they're going to look like ends, put those each through the hook eyelet. Might have to do them one at a time. If you're lucky, you can get both of them through. So I've got the leader with the two loose ends attached to the hoop leader that I want. I'm going to pull it through, so I can pull on this to pull it through. Once it's through, I can put aside the free leader and use that loop and just wrap it around the hook. One time, pull the hook through. So what I'm going to have is I'm going to have an end that attaches to the leader. I'll have first hook, then I'll have a second hook down below, about 12 to 15 inches, and then another 15 inches below, I will have my sinker. Of your 2-hook leader, pumping a rig, chicken rig, etc. Makes it so you can switch out sizes. So if you have to go from a 2-ounce to a 3-ounce, or from a pyramid to a shore bank sinker, I guess you call them, this is a way that you can switch them out easy. So to recap, there's not just one way that I set up my tackle. I set up for what I'm actually trying to fish for that day. Am I fishing grass flats? Am I deep dropping? Am I fishing from the shore? Am I using live bait? Am I using cut bait? If you enjoy this video, please hit like and subscribe.